So welcome, everyone. It was really nice to meet you at the door. It truly is an honor and a humbling experience for me to see so many of these people that come to this event every year. I think John said we were close to another record again for this event, and it's just great to see you all out. I'm going to repeat myself, because I often do, but I recognize almost all of you, and I say this every year, but there's a reason why I recognize just about everybody in this room, in this crowd. I'm often asked, what is the key to success? And I don't know why they're asking me, but I respond, show up. You've got to show up. And you in this audience, I recognize so many of you because that's exactly what you do. You show up to charity events. I see you volunteering. I see you at your businesses. I see you here because you want to be informed citizens. And you care. I know that the people in this room care about Medicine Hat as much as I do and my city council does. So on behalf of my council, I really thank you for coming out today. Slide one. This is, I'd like to speak about the recent civic election. It was only 3 months ago. And I feel the need to thank Councillor Cox, Councillor Pearson, and Councillor Simmons. Former Councillor Simmons is here today. For their servant leadership. The three of them truly gave their best, and each one of them brought different strengths and perspectives to the past council. And I can honestly say that I actually already miss all three of them. But thank you very much to the three of you for your service, and all the best in your future endeavors. Thank you. Having said that, this is your new city council, and as we all know, change can be difficult. But this new council has exceeded my expectations at every turn over the last 3 months. We had a team building session where everyone worked hard to listen, to learn from each other, and we recently finished our strategic planning session where the entire team thoughtfully worked towards consensus. Elections can be a very divisive, and there's often a great deal of healing that must occur after an election. Both by the candidates that ran in the election and even the general public. It can be tear a municipality apart. But that healing after this election has gone extremely well and fairly quickly, so I also thank all the citizens and council for that. My senior staff are here today as well. They're all sitting over here, and then one's over there, or a couple over there. Don't know if maybe they're not getting along today, but elections can be exceptionally tense and unpredictable for them as well. They work so closely with council, and actually they have no idea who their new bosses are going to be after October 16th. And often they receive the brunt of criticism for past mistakes during an election, as there is an inevitable finger pointing that goes on. And my CAO has built the best executive team in the country, and I do have complete confidence in all of them, so thank you. So I'd like you to hear from your new city council. Last year I asked the previous council to reflect on the term that was. This time I've asked the new councillor, incoming councillors, to speak about their hopes and dreams and perhaps what they would like to see going forward.
So the things I'm looking forward to in this term on city council are two things really. Number one, financial accountability. As a banker by day, I'm intrigued by balance sheets and income statements, and although that's not sexy stuff, I think it's very pertinent to the citizens of Medicine Hat that we lead by example in terms of being very strong financially. The second thing I would be passionate about, and still continue to be so, is advocacy on behalf of Medicine Hat. Very proud Hatter, always will be, and I'm looking in this capacity to support and enhance advocacy efforts in terms of making Medicine Hat just an even better place to live.
So I'm really excited about the next 4 years being on council, and I'm excited about the fact that I want to continue my work on economic development, and particularly on the Invest Medicine Hat board. Over this last couple of years, we've really identified some tremendous opportunities to expand our economic development here, our tax base, and create jobs. And I'm just really excited to see us have some of those opportunities come to an end and to a successful end.
We're elected by the citizens, so I think we have to work for the citizens of our community, and hopefully we can come up with great governance over that time period. And the first year is probably the most important as to where our direction is going to go for the next 4 years. I also want to see, since we named a new sports council, I'm very excited about that because it's going to bring a lot of money to our town if we can get a lot of major events coming to our town. So it's going to be an economic impactor, I believe, if we get off the ground and running. We're going to have a great time with all the sporting community within our community to make some money and to put money back into our community. So it's a big development push for us to get that sports council going, and hopefully all the sporting organizations see it as a great thing coming down in the future.
I believe quality of life and economic vibrancy are absolutely linked, and we can't have one without the other. We have wonderful parks, recreation, social development, and cultural opportunities in our city that are amazing. And those things go along as well with a safe community, excellent police, fire, berm protection for flooding. And so when a business is thinking of locating here or building greater opportunities here, locating their families here, they want to know that it's the kind of community they will enjoy with the amenities and the safety that makes them want to stay here and grow their business here. And so that's why I believe so strongly that you cannot have one without the other. And in Medicine Hat, I see our future vibrancy being very strong.
I would like to see our city be, in the next 4 years, financially sound. I would like to see our gas and oil and our utilities, electrical utilities, back in a profitable position so that the Medicine Hat advantage is clear to all our citizens. I'd like to see our city be vibrant and growing. And I would like our council to have the wisdom and courage to make the decisions necessary to accomplish those goals.
So I think the most important priority over the next 4 years has to be the diversification of our economy. The pattern was put in motion over the last 4 years. Bringing in Invest Medicine Hat to help drive that bus, I think is paramount. And at the end of 4 years from now, if we look back and that hasn't paid huge dividends for our community, I am going to be incredibly surprised. The second thing that I think is very important is our continuing to focus on tourism. We have an untapped potential for tourism in our community. Groups like 670 Collective have shown that when a group comes together and gets some support from the city and support from our community, the huge inroads they can make, and we all of a sudden are Alberta known for our mountain bike community and our mountain bike trails, and that's thanks to a group like 670 Collective. And there are other groups out there that we need to find and we need to tap into who can continue to enhance what we offer for tourism in Medicine Hat.
I believe the next term is all about economic development. We have a vibrant community that really seems to be experiencing growth. I believe our stable tax base, our low utility rates, and a very open business attitude here at City Hall has gone a long way to creating a positive outlook in our community. And I believe that the business sector sees that and feels that. And I believe in the future we have every opportunity for prosperity, and the outlook looks very positive, and I'm encouraged by what I'm seeing.
I think one of the strengths of a community is that there are so many people doing so many great things in all parts of our community. You know, you have the nonprofits that are doing really good work. You have young business people starting. So I think the goal for me as a councillor is to try to get everybody on the same page and try to talk about some of the choices that we have, some of the trade-offs that we have, and then just try to make sure everybody is working well as a team. I think that goes well for council as well. We're going to be talking about strategic directions for us for the next 4 years, and so I think, you know, communicating between us as a team and then us and the community and staff, everybody's got a role to play, and it all comes together when we work as a team.
So those were not scripted, and each one of the councillors came up with that individually, but it was interesting to see the similar theme that they all spoke about come through. So my intention here today is to go very quickly over the year that was and to move into the future. For the most part today, I will be speaking on behalf of City Council. However, there are times I may go a little rogue and speaking on behalf of myself, and these do not reflect the opinions of my staff or the rest of Council, but here we go. Investment attraction, you heard that the councillors talking about what they were hoping to do. It's basically been the driving force for the last term and hopefully going forward. Invest Medicine Hat, we're trying not to take a shotgun approach, but actually go towards more of a rifle approach towards things that we can actually attract here. I'm sorry, I'm going to be going really quickly because we are already behind. Atlantis, I think this was missed a little bit by the community, even the media. The merger acquisition of Atlantis and Fortress Fabrication was actually really big news this last year. These guys are literally rocket scientists, NASA rocket scientists. This new plant hopes to employ between 200, maybe 250 people in the next 5 years, making basically that jet engine, that rocket engine that burns off methane, and it'll be very important with the government's priorities to limit methane emissions going forward. Someone during the election, Scott Rabel, had the great idea that we should have a single point of contact when you come to the City Hall to help you new businesses navigate through City Hall to get through the process of planning and permits and the perceived red tape at City Hall. Well, we actually had started doing that about 2 years ago, and she's here today, Sandra. I actually went and asked her if I could to leak some information today, but she said, don't you dare. She is our single point of contact, and we call it DIRT, or Development Investment Readiness Team. Trouble again. Oh, of course, we had some good, sorry, okay, sorry, I was going to say this. I think maybe some of you were here hoping for a major new announcement today. I actually pushed back the date of this address in the hopes that I could accommodate just that. Unfortunately, I cannot make a statement on any new industries today. What I can tell you is that I have signed more non-disclosure and confidential agreements between companies in the last 6 months than I have in the last 10 years. And if any of those or all of those come through, there is a projected between $50 and perhaps $500 million worth of new investment to this city, with anywhere between 50 and 500 new jobs if all of them were to fall in place. So please stay tuned. As of course you know, we are happy to announce WestJet, which will be starting service here on June 1st with a 34-seat aircraft that would take you direct to Calgary and then to the rest of the world. This was actually 8 years in the begging, and I say begging because we have been begging WestJet along with the Chamber of Commerce and Industry to come here. I can tell you that they wouldn't be here if it hadn't been for the previous council or the previous council's foresight to expand the airport and the terminal. There just wasn't room for 2 major carriers post-security. So as well, we will also be doing runway upgrades, as you're all aware. It's kind of topical in the media in the month of May, but I know it's going to be painful, but it is important for the long term. We did open our new 43 megawatt power plant to much industry interest this last year. This new power plant is outside of the flood zone and can back up our main power plant if there's a failure, and it can also export to the grid. The Downtown Incentive Program has still been another success in the past year. And for anyone, and I'm getting a little tired of this, for anyone who says that there isn't anything going on in the downtown, please go for a walk in the night, during the dark, and look inside. When the buildings are lit up from the inside, you can see inside what has happened in the downtown. It is absolutely an amazing transformation that's gone off in the last 4 or 5 years. I've even had some younger people come up to me and say, you know what? Downtown is cool again. And that to me is kind of a feather in our cap from the previous council. Of course, we have the DMO, or the tourism. This past year, we hosted the Rogers Hometown Hockey. And I'm not a hockey fan, I've never have been, but this event was actually fun for everyone, for families. So it was a great turnout. And if you got a chance to go this year, you got a chance to hear Ron McLean. He is actually an amazing speaker and gentleman. I was supposed to tell a hockey story with Ron on the stage, and I told a story about Trevor Lynn and I when we were younger. And I got on the stage and I said to Ron, I said, well, here we go. I really don't know much about hockey. And then he quickly quips in and says, well, either does Don Cherry, but go ahead. And so that was a huge success. We also hosted the hottest Special Olympics on record. And Councillor Varga and his group of volunteers have to be thanked for this. This was just an amazing event. The competitors and their families just couldn't say enough about our facilities and the people and the volunteers and the citizens of Medicine Hat. The slogan for this event was "Witness Pure Joy." And I know that maybe sounds cliche, but it was absolutely true if any of you got to witness some of these events. I have been in politics for over 10 years now, and I actually had the most touching moment during these games. And I would love to tell you that story, but I actually wouldn't be able to get through it without a tear. So you'll have to ask me at some other time. The National Little League was here, and it was also a massive success. We had perfect weather. They actually planned for rainout days that never came. We were hosting the Canadian Badlands Tourism Conference this spring, so most of the region of Southeast Alberta will be down here. The Event Center is hosting the first of its kind Cirque du Soleil show. This is a major coup for Medicine Hat. This is on ice. It's never been done. And I was just told yesterday that ticket sales are extremely strong for this event. There are over 10,000 sold already. And to date, 40% of those sales are from people outside of the city of Medicine Hat coming in. So what we need to do is we need to support events like this. We need to support our event center because the promoters, they all talk to each other. And if you can't fill the building or people don't come out, they don't want to promote other events here. Oops. Oops. I showed this video 2 years ago. That's Saskatoon's equivalent of Finley Bridge. You can hear people cheering. That bridge was exactly the same as Finley Bridge. It was only 1 year older, 1907 versus 1908, and they had to blow it up because they didn't look after it. We spent $8 million on our Finley Bridge in 2008, 2009, and now we're going to get another 50, maybe 100 years out of that bridge. Imagine what it's going to cost to rebuild this bridge. $8 million could save $100 million. So what I'm talking about is infrastructural renewal. It's a priority of the past council, and it will be of this future council. It's not sexy. Most of the work is almost always underground. You can't see it. It's pipes. It's sewer pipes, but it pays off huge dividends if you just take the time to reinvest in your infrastructure versus having to blow your infrastructure up and rebuild it. I always like to joke, that's the kind of event that if I was blowing up a bridge in Medicine Hat, I'd have to move away. But, so hopefully we don't have to do that. We did some transmission line upgrades. We're going from 69 to 138 kV. It's more efficient, it's much more reliable, and now these new transmission lines are good for the next 30 to 40 years. You're seeing them going up all around the perimeter of Medicine Hat. Our berms are still an ongoing endeavor, and there's 3 words I like to describe: the protection, beauty, and recreation. We used to fear our river here in Medicine Hat, but now we can celebrate it. I'm actually hearing, people love to walk on the new pass on the berms. Now it's a recreation feature, but now I'm also getting, of course, complaints, which I always get, which is the paths are too busy on the berms. We opened station number 2 this year. In February, and of course we have now improved coverage into Southridge, Stammes Heights, Vista, and Hamptons, but we still have been able to maintain our existing coverage, and we have avoided a $3 million annual operating cost. So if you think this may have deferred Station 4 for 10 years times $3 million, that saved us $30 million over the next 10 years in operating. So this was a great move, and it was actually led by former Councillor Turnbull when he was on council the previous time, when he sent the fire services back to the drawing board and said, you know what, we need to take another look at that. Station 1 will be opening in the fall here of 2018 with also improved coverage to Crescent Heights, Parkview, Ranchlands, Riverside, but it'll also maintain its existing coverage. And it is the only station north of the river. As you remember in the floods of 2013, the city was cut in half. We had to actually move a fake temporary ER station up into the leisure center, and we also had to move fire trucks. Well, now we have a station in the north. The new senior center is coming along very, very well. We'll be looking forward to opening that this year. The FLC expansion, the Family Leisure Center, is actually a complete success. We got, you know what, this building has exceeded all expectations. If any of you have been there, you know what I'm talking about. We got this one right. We absolutely got this building right. I hear complaints, but $22.50 for a family of 4 to spend the entire day at the leisure center, where can you get that kind of value? But yeah, I still hear some entitled whiners complaining, but I'm sorry, that's a very reasonable price. And really, even at that price, we're only covering 30%, maybe even 40% of the cost of your attendance at that building. These are some of the challenges going forward. We're working on this. I'm going to go quickly. Of course, this is the financially fit. We have to fill up the gap between the dividend. We aren't just raising your taxes, but we're actually looking at 7 different ways or 7 different levers to pull to address the loss of the volatile commodity-driven dividend. And as you know, there's pushback. There is a lot of pushback. Just try and cut transit and see what happens. It ended up being the Medicine Hat News Story of the Year. Here's where I'm going rogue, but I'm going to call it the Medicine Hat News Manufactured Story of the Year, but I'll stay out of that. We have some other budget challenges, of course. We lost transit savings. We got to financially fit the gap, but this new council is eager and ready to work on it. So here are your council's new strategic priorities. We've gone from 6 to 5. You can read them. And they are in order from left to right. Fiscal responsibility, then economic and infrastructure. So perhaps we have something that we're interested in doing that could be infrastructure renewal, but if it doesn't pass the fiscal responsibility litmus test, it gets trumped. And by Trump, I mean the bridge term, not the president. But we also have a river redevelopment plan, or the Saskatchewan River Development Plan, that really placed highly on this new council's priorities. Those 5 were basically the pillars of the strategic plan, and then you'll start hearing us fill in the planks going forward, part of the business plans. But this one, I would think you'll see rise fairly quickly to the top. I told this story at the mayor's breakfast, but I'm going to tell it again. Sorry, there's maybe only 80, 90 of you there, and now there's whatever here. I stole this from Todd Hirsch, the chief economist from the ATB, and it's about adapting to change. So some of you may know this story. And I think it was 2008 or 2009, NASA put some spiders and put them on the shuttle and took them to the space station. And the idea was to see if the spiders could spin webs in zero gravity. Nobody knew if they could. And so the spiders, of course, as soon as they got into space, did what spiders do, and they tried to spin a web, and it didn't work. It was a glob of silk and goo. But after a few more tries, the spiders were able to build webs in space with zero gravity. And you think about how did they do that? I mean, they don't learn how to build webs. It's programmed into their DNA. They're born with the desire to build a web, yet somehow they figured out how to spin a web in space. And so I talk about this, and where am I going with this? But how could they possibly figure this out? Because on Earth they adapted to do it with gravity. But so the moral of this story is here in Alberta, in Medicine Hat, really we are like the spiders in space right now. We could do one of 3 things. We could sit here and wait and hope that oil recovers. And it would be similar to the spiders waiting for NASA to bring them back to Earth so they could just get on to building webs. Or if you're a government entity like the City of Medicine Hat, you could just basically form a committee to study the problem and then wait 3 years and never come up with an answer. Or number 3, you can adapt. You can adapt to your new environment. You can adapt to your new situation. And so I would like to, Councillor Turtle, you didn't know this was coming up here. So this is where our NGPR growth strategy comes involved. Yes, we are a City of Medicine Hat. Yes, we are the gas city. Yes, we drill for oil. But we're also decided we're going to divest of non-performing assets, explore for more oil, and actually go for helium. So we're still the spiders. We're still the city. We're still NGPR, but we're trying new things. We're trying to adapt to our new environment. And just look at these 2 guys up on a drilling rig trying to adapt to an environment. There's 2 fish out of water. We were actually on a drilling rig, and they were drilling about 3 feet behind us. They were spinning. And I love the safety guy. I can't believe they let us up there. And the first thing, the safety guy, his only lesson was, if you see me running, run with me. We have a shifting electrical market. Of course, the Speaker of the House is here. He's very aware of this, that we have to move to a capacity market. We have a lot of talk about our NGPR, or natural gas, but we also have electric, or our GENCO, which has a strategic plan going forward as well. And I'm not going to make you go through these slides, but we have to meet some new requirements for a capacity market from the government of Alberta. And we have a plan to make, and I do honestly believe, and Cal's here, our new commissioner, relatively new, that GENCO, or electric generation, will be profitable this year. It will actually be very profitable. It was profitable last year. And so we are coming out of this downturn. Renewable energy, of course, whether or not you agree with the carbon tax and the province's shift to more renewable energy, we are really set to benefit from some of the investments in this area. You've heard some of them have been recently announced, large megawatt projects, and these will translate into jobs in Medicine Hat. So we are getting some of that carbon tax back here, reinvested into the City of Medicine Hat and our surrounding area. We are rolling out curbside recycling in May or June. The mayor of Redcliffe's here. He's got a little struggle with his citizens on that one, but we seem to be able to move forward with that. You'll be getting your blue bin, and while Medicine Hat it's kind of ironic. We are usually an innovator. We are usually leading edge when it comes to automated metering technology, the first in the country to go all three, renewable energy, HAT Smart, all these things that we've done here, homelessness, housing first. We are the last of the 50 major cities in Canada to convert to curbside. We need to make a decision on the arena, and sooner rather than later. We received 2 proposals in our EOI, our expression of interest, and we are having further dialogue with both proponents. But there's going to maybe be a hard time or a tough time when this council is going to have to make a tough decision just to knock this building down and make this parcel of land more marketable. Oh, cannabis. Sorry, and that was one of the visions in the River Flats redevelopment plan of that area. We are, as one of the candidates in the election said, we are the grass city. Well, not yet, but it's coming. We are obviously dealing with the legalization of cannabis, as all municipalities are, and this comes with a myriad of challenges to the municipalities from all sorts of issues, from policing to land use to health and safety at work, to your high-risk employees that could be working with heavy machinery. And we are starting consultation with you, the citizens, right away. We are waiting to hear some more of the regs from the province, but let's say the province mandates that you can't retail cannabis, I'm supposed to say cannabis, not marijuana. You can't retail cannabis within 200 meters of a school. The city of Medicine Hat must meet the minimum requirements of the province, but we could be stricter. We could say no 300 meters from school, or 500 meters from a church, or maybe only 2 dispensaries are allowed, or maybe a laissez-faire market where let the market decide where they go. But we're going to be having to come forward with some land use planning here very, very quickly. I used to make the joke, remember when we had all that controversy about the AMI meters and people didn't want them put in their houses? And I used to joke that it was because they had grow-ups. Well, now it's legal, so let us into your house. Anyway, we have to update the municipal development plan, and we'll be speaking public input on that one as well, from everything to lot sizes, to speed limits, to walkability, to one of the new councillors is quite interested in rejuvenation of older areas. So this will be a massive undertaking. We're also required to do a regional collaboration. The province is pushing this under the new MGA, the Municipal Government Act, and requires us to work together with our neighbors in a collaborative way. And if we don't work together, if we can't get along, it will be forced upon us by the province. So we need to think about water and country residential growth and solid waste disposal and fire services and recreation services. And fortunately, we do have a great working relationship with both the county and Redcliffe. Of course, we have the uncertainty of the provincial election coming next year. This is usually where I take a little shot at our provincial NDP government, but now I'm in a tough situation because the Speaker of the House is here sitting and having lunch with me. So I gotta be on my best behavior. But we'll see what happens. We're gonna take a great interest in what happens in the next provincial election. Of course, we don't know who our new government will be. We have a new government. They could repeal some of the NDP policies. We could get the present government re-elected. But what we will do as a municipality is we will live under whatever rules and we will adapt. Oh yeah, my council doesn't know I'm going to do this and I'm going to be in trouble, but this is whatever. Last term, there were about, I'm going to say, 15 major capital projects started or completed the last term. And other than the last phase of the berming, we don't have a major municipal capital project proposed on the books. And you're going to hear it, but and you did hear it, we fully expect this to be a term of restraint and increased private sector investment to capitalize on the public investment that was made in the last years, fire halls, leisure centers, all those things. But as I've said in this speech many times, that the City of Medicine Hat, we want for nothing here. We truly want for nothing, but I'm going to change that. We don't need anything anymore, but maybe we do want some more stuff. So I was thinking about, I love our trails. It's no secret that I love to walk and I love to bike and I love our trails. And I do think that perhaps a next major capital project could be to link Police Point and Strathcona so that you could have a full integrated park system and a pass system. I see Dr. Sauer nodding because he was on council when they first started the pass. They are a true gem. Outsiders, that's all they talk about is our paths and other things. But there was a very reckless article in the Medicine Hat News regarding homelessness about a month ago, but it was a little one-sided. But Medicine Hat has shown great leadership that has been sparked interest in the homeless across the country and frankly across the world. And so if you haven't heard of them yet, Thrive, it's a new initiative. The co-chair is here, Chris Hellman. I don't see Denise Henning, she's the other chair. There's a plan, and this is not a city, this is a separate by a Council of Champions, to end poverty in the city of Medicine Hat by 2030. Is this a lofty goal? Is this an attainable goal? I don't know. But I have to admit, I was one of the largest and most critical skeptics of the Housing First and Homelessness Initiative, and now I have reluctantly become the speaker champion of the Housing First strategy all around the world. So perhaps this will be Medicine Hat's next feather in their cap. And there are some of the Council of Champions here even today. And Thrive actually just had its first big win last week with the Help Seeker app. It could have been launched anywhere in North America, but Dr. Turner, who paid for this app out of her own pocket, decided to launch it here in Medicine Hat because she chose Medicine Hat because of our innovation and our leadership in so many other areas. So it's just basically, if you don't understand what Thrive is, it's like Yelp. It's help for social services. If you are down on your luck and you're a new mother and you can't find diapers, you put it in and hopefully you can find services to help you get that, or food, or if you're a battered woman leaving and trying to find a shelter. Hopefully this will help you, and it's GPS and it'll tell you where you need to go. Because some of these services are really hard to find if you're new to a community or you're down on your luck. Wow, I got through that. Huh. So some of you, sometimes I think some of you may have actually just come to this event for the poem, and some of you come here to learn about Medicine Hat and its direction, and some of you are here probably looking for the door right now because he's going to do the poem. As my brother was actually looking for the door 3 years ago. As you can see how he spoiled his ballot and voted for no poem. And that's another story. But today, I am going to do Desiderata by Max Ehrmann, which is Latin for things desirable, all things desirable. And Max Ehrmann's words are as relevant today as they were 50 or even 100 years ago. Brandy, who helped me with this presentation today, who works in communications, she actually handed me this poem 3 years ago and asked if I liked it, and I said no. And she said, why? And I said, because it's too long. So sorry, but you're going to have to bear with it. And you know, and we all come here today with some different struggles and some hidden problems and some burdens, and so hopefully these words, the Desiderata, these words will give you some peace to continue on in your day. It is a very simple poem, and it's not burdened with difficult metaphors, but truly a life lesson. Am I on? Can you hear me? Desiderata by Max Ehrmann. Go placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible, without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even the dull and the ignorant. They too have their story. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain or bitter. As always in life, there are greater and lesser persons than yourself. Enjoy your achievements and your plans. Keep interested in your own career, however humble. It is a true possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you to the virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals. Everywhere in life, there is heroism. Be yourself. Especially do not feign affection, and neither be cynical about love. For in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of the years, graciously surrendering the things of youth. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you during sudden misfortune. But do not distress yourself with dark imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with your soul. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees or the stars. You have a right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore, be at peace with God, whatever you conceive him to be, and whatever your toils and aspirations. In the noisy confusion of life, be gentle with your soul, with all its sham and drudgery and broken dreams. it is still a beautiful world. Be cheerful. Be careful. Strive to be happy. Thank you. This always happens. I got just two more paragraphs, okay? Okay. So in conclusion, I just really want to thank this community for giving me the opportunity to serve as your mayor for 4 more years. Well, I'll thank 56% of you anyway. And the other 44%, I have a good idea who you are. This is kind of the point where I usually kind of harp on social media and how it's destroying politics, but I'm going to not do that today because I have come to accept it, and I have come to peace with it. And so I'm going to quote Margaret Thatcher, who made a very good quote before social media. She said, "I always cheer up immensely if an attack is particularly wounding, because I think, well, if they attack one personally, they have not a single political argument left." And I've also come to recognize that these people, the anonymous people, that most of them really do just deserve our pity and not our scorn. And they're going through a terrible thing in life, and that's why they lash out. And I've also learned in the last 4 years that as mayor and as a politician, you actually must grow in kindness. So I'm actually kind of uncomfortable up here. It says the mayor's state of the city, and all these things that I've just shown you and in the future of things to come were not done by the mayor. They are not done in isolation. There are so many wonderful people involved that go unnoticed and underappreciated, all of our staff. You had and have a great new city council that does take the advice of our senior staff very seriously. We truly do work for you, this city council. There is no money, no pension, or job security in municipal politics. There's only the desire to serve and lead, and I know this maybe sounds cliche, but I know that not a day goes by that you don't turn on your TV and you see the corruption and the greed in politics. You won't find it here. You won't find it here. And as I've said before, our children, I make my son come to this every year, they go to school with yours, and we shop in your business, and we play in your parks, your city council. And we walk with you as equals to make this city the best it can be. Thank you.